I've used 5 AI agents and systems to replace my team. And today I'm going to be sharing what are those systems, what are the tools I'm using, and how you can use it yourself for your business to hopefully get a lot more out of the resources you currently got, or empower your current team to leverage technology to your advantage to put your business in a position where you can win in the fast-paced dynamic economy with everything either shrinking economically, with a lot of uncertainty, with everything changing by the day, to the rapid evolution of technology and us having access to tools that are a fraction of the cost from what they were in the past, to now being able to have small, nimble teams and execute the ideas we have in our head with a few tools and just a few days instead of months, and bloated teams that are trying to accomplish a task. So last year I sold my business and I had a team of 30 people, either contractors or people that were full-time helping me fulfill some of the functions within the business. And I have a diagram here that I'm looking over all of the functions within the business that we were accomplishing. And we had paid advertising. We were running Google and Meta ads. We were B2C business, meaning that we're often targeting direct to consumer, people that want to get in shape. It's very same for the B2B business model. It's similar sales cycle. You could be also running ads. So this is one of the functions I had to figure out how to replace with AI. So paid advertising was a big component. And most important part here was actually the creative, how I'm coming up with new angles, new content, how to have video avatars, people that are actually recording the content for me. They call them AI influencers now with the change of technology. But last year, I actually had a team of people that were recording content on my behalf, as something that wasn't working very well was me in front of a camera, as I'm rather a slow-paced talker. I'm not very entertaining to listen to. I'm more of a, let's bring the value to the table, let's deliver the goods, but that's not necessarily great if you want to have pattern interrupts. So I had a team of people that were recording content on my behalf in my business. So this was a function that I needed to replace, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing now. I had a lot of lead magnets that I was creating, given that I was working with a limited pool of an audience, and I had to constantly evolve the offerings I've got. So continuously you had to come up with new angles, new scripts, new formats, new lead magnets, and all of that was taking a lot of time and a lot of people involved in the process. So ideally, from idea of me actually wanting to deliver something for free to build goodwill and bring more leads for my business, I had 4 to 5 people that were either designing the covers, putting together the content, bulletproofing everything, then building the tech on the back end and making sure that the entire funnel works, and then having somebody record the actual videos to then send it over to somebody to edit the videos, then return it back to then me launching the ads, writing the copy, and doing all of that. So from idea to actual execution, it was taking me approximately 15 days, and that was with a dialed-in team. With everybody fulfilling on that function for a little while, so they were all used to the process. And if you're just starting out, it's very unrealistic that you would be able to pull that together with limited resources without spending, a good portion of your time or actually having a good budget to allocate towards that. So that was the first function that we're going to discuss. The second was the content marketing piece. And the problem there was that, again, as a business owner, you have a very limited time to allocate resources to actually be in the face of the business. And often in today's economy, that's the number one priority, as everything else is becoming commoditized. Building things, the technology, the access to products, whether it's going to be a physical product, whether it's going to be online, the barrier to entry is so low that there's competition by the day. So the only mode you can have as a business owner is you distributing content either through yourself or having a face for your brand, or actually distributing valuable, helpful content through different mediums, whether it's going to be YouTube videos, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, it doesn't matter what's the channel, but that's been a big bottleneck for myself. And I had a full-time person just doing content for ourselves on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook and Instagram, actually. And then I had a format where I had a few of my team members doing interviews, client interviews for YouTube. That was the thing that we were doing together. And then I had a newsletter that we weren't very consistent with in our business. I was doing it once a month. And I had a way to figure out how to replace all of these functions, as ideally there was, again, 3 people that were fulfilling on that function. So I had to figure out a way how I can use AI to replace the people that were doing and at least helping with the Facebook, with Instagram, and figure out a way where I can scale that content production. Next, we had the organic, which was the local SEO. And I had a couple of contractors that were helping me with articles to rank for certain keywords and list and distribute the content in different search directories. And that was bringing a good amount of traffic, especially as a long-term strategy, as normally you would invest on day one and it would start compounding and come back to you at month 6. So I had to figure out a way again how to have an SEO strategy that was helping me bring more longevity to my business, help me diversify the traffic channels, because organic's great, paid advertising is great, content is great, but these two have a short-term effect, meaning that I spend the money today and I get the leads, but the moment I stop paying is the moment I stop getting leads. With the content, it's kind of the same thing. The moment you stop posting content, it kind of dries out. And sure, there's channels that have some longevity to it, such as YouTube, where there's discoverability and people can find you later on. But again, organic seems to be the most stable one over time and produces results that are compounding, especially if you have a regular cadence of publishing content. So that was something that I wanted to do. And then partnerships was one of the very stable channels for ourselves. I grew my past business through affiliates and having a sales team. So it was a very heavy commission driven business. And I wanted to implement that very same structure for our current business, especially where we have our AI agent platform that we license to businesses that they can use. And we're now introducing a white label and reseller function soon, where you can build those agents for businesses. And I had to figure out a way where I can consistently reach out to our ideal partners, ideally via email and LinkedIn, as those are the channels that we've seen work very well. And I had to build a system around finding those people and reaching out on scale, as we had a person that was responsible for that in the past. And then the referrals and warm market traffic is, again, I had to figure out what system can I implement to collect rankings and Google reviews for our business to then actually have those clients refer business to us and help us do either promo webinars together or launch different events. So these are all the 5 functions that I wanted to replace and figure out a way to actually have AI agents help me with those. And these are not make.com workflows. These are not like fully autonomous agents that you see online. As from what I've experienced firsthand, and especially after selling dozens of solutions to 8 and even 9-figure businesses, is that there's still a human element required for all of these to work consistently. Now, the second part of what we did is the tedious part of actually generating the leads, because these are all great, but once you generate the leads, there's something else that needs to happen, and it's the lead nurturing. Often those leads, they would have a lot of questions, especially if they're coming through paid advertising, or even if it's content, they haven't been exposed to you and your material for good enough amount of time. So they normally have a lot of questions that are relating back to the resources you've probably already put together. So we needed to have some sort of a resource or a person, or ideally an agent that we've built that could answer a lot of those questions and distribute the materials that we've already put together and send the resources to the relevant leads. As when they opt in, they give us their name, email, and phone number, and then we would have AI agents reach out to them via voice and text and nurture them to help them move over the pipeline and ideally book an appointment with our business and actually become a customer. And then we had to figure out a way to actually continuously do that, because with today's economy, things are changing. And whereas like 2020, 2021, where people were stuck at home, they had disposable income, the inflation wasn't what it is, the uncertainty wasn't what it is today. People were spending money a lot easier than they do now. And you would have people spending 4, 5, 10, even 15 grand on a first call without batting an eye, without questioning anything. Whereas now the consumer market has changed and people are a lot more skeptical. They would be researching even a $97 product. They would scout the entire internet, especially with AI. They would research you, figure out what you're doing, if you're worth considering. And it's becoming a lot harder, and you need to build a lot more goodwill, a lot more trust. And the follow-up is a super important part of that, especially when it comes to B2B environment, where you need to educate your prospects, send them more material so they can understand what you're doing, how you're doing it, and why you're doing it. So that's why the third part of any business, actually not just ours, is to have a lead nurture protocol, which consists of emails, texts, calls over time. And That's what we built with the AI agents that I'm going to show you in a second and the platform we're using. And then the fourth part is the conversion piece. And for that, there are certain events that need to happen here. And there's a lot of people here on YouTube that are talking about it. There's Jeremy Hines. There's Ryan is doing a great job. I forgot his last name, but he's doing a great job at explaining what takes cold market prospects to them conducting business with you in a short amount of time. And it normally comes down to the so-called hammer them strategy, or in simple words, just sending all of the relevant information prior to call on all possible channels, meaning that you're sending your prospects videos, emails, text with information, helpful materials, Gamma docs, presentations, whatever is necessary for them to feel confident that you can help them solve their problem. And we needed to build all of those assets, okay? And create a protocol where when a person shows up to the call, they're already warmed up. But not only they're warmed up, but they're also fully understanding what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how we're different. And have an AI agent actually call all of the prospects to make sure that they're getting on the call, as attendance has dropped tremendously again after 2021, where everybody was at home. Now the show up rates are dropping across the board for B2C, for B2B offers. So you need to position yourself as the authority figure and have people actually wanting to hop on the call. And what makes somebody convinced to hop on a call is to know how exactly you're going to solve their problem. Business owners are busy. They're mindful of their time. So if you're just trying to follow up with your appointment is at 10 a.m. without providing any context, any value, any information they can look at, any testimonials, you're going to have a very hard time with people actually showing up to your appointments, and it's going to be very hard. So we needed to build a function around that where we can consistently send reminders, helpful information, answer frequently asked questions, and send them videos as well. And this is the tools that I've started building. It took me about 8 to 9 months to piece everything together. And this is me in the past. This is my team here, actually. And we've been using a lot of those strategies for ourselves. I've been even featured in a lot of publications, even for some of the strategies. That was back in the day where we just had AI agents replying to our leads, and that was early 2024. So there was the innovation around that. But now things have changed tremendously. So I've built all of these agents that allow me with a few contractors to be able to manage everything at scale. And I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you what are the tools. So for AI voice and text agents, we're using actually our own platform. It's WellGrow. You can check out our website. It's usewellgrow.io. And what it does, it allows you to build autonomous AI voice and text agents that are connected with each other, meaning that they're able to call your leads on your behalf. We call them Axel and Lyra, but essentially you can call yours whatever you want. We have 110 voices to choose from. You can even clone your voice. They can represent your business, and they could be taking all of the inbound calls for your business. They can be taking all of the outbound calls, meaning people opt in and you actually dial them out and book them in for appointment. You can have them to answer questions on your website. You can have them answer your DMs in Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, or any other channel you take on. And you can even have a widget on your website where they can call in and text. And this is an example. We currently have a beauty advisor. We have a company that is offering beauty products, and we have an AI agent that has access to all of their products and how they're affecting the skin and what skin types they're good for. And we have an actual AI agent that is recommending the products based on what the customer needs. And we're using those agents for a few things. We could use them for database reactivation. So now we upload a list of customers and we have our AI reach out to them, whether an SMS database reactivation campaign or whether we're using AI outbound calling. Here you could use different platforms. You could use Vapi AI, Retail AI. These are great. We're using ours because it allows us to combine all of the channels, as now our agent has the smarts to communicate between voice, chat, and email, and autonomously switch between channels, which was super important for us, as normally when people come to our flow, they're communicating via the different channels. So we needed to build a system that combines everything. But that was the first piece of what we needed to replace. And again, the cost here, I was paying over $2,000 for having an appointment setter just to dial in all the leads and reply to all of the social media channels. And it was very hard because first, they were always following up with the new leads, but all of the old leads, they kind of got left behind because as you're running marketing spend, there's always new people coming into your pipeline. And if you don't have a consistent protocol or the margin and the efficiency of your business where you can have 5, 10, 20 people that are following up with all the leads, it becomes almost impossible. So this is where the AI voice and text agents really came in handy. There's a couple of platforms out there that you can check out. And yeah, that's the first system that we use to replace some of our human appointment setters. Now, the second part to that was the referral generation piece. Of course, getting reviews for any business is super helpful. But for us, figuring out a way where we can actually get referrals was something that was always on my mind, but I couldn't figure out a way to consistently do it, as we had it as an SOP, but not necessarily everybody within the team executed it. Like some people would ask their clients for recommendations and getting more people on board, but it wasn't across the board. It wasn't systematic, it wasn't consistent, it wasn't predictable, and therefore the results we were getting from referrals and organic traffic and people bringing in other people were great, but they could have been better. So what we implemented is a very simple system where as the moment a client becomes a client, we move them over our pipeline in our CRM, okay, and we add them to a column like a new client, and we ask them for a simple request on feedback on the service they received with the hopes of improving actually our service and product. And we have a simple form. You can see how it looks like here. Please rate us. Your feedback is extremely helpful to us, and we would ask them to rate us with however many stars. And if they rate us 4 or 5, that would trigger another sequence. It would send them an actual link to Google review form where they could leave an actual review with the information they want. But they also get triggered another sequence where we offer a cash incentive for them bringing a referral. And that sequence is 2 to 3 weeks long. And we send them SMS, text, emails, and we're now even intending of actually having an AI agent call them or trigger a sequence so we can call them ourselves. And if they leave us 1 or 2 or 3 star, we collect that feedback and we don't send them over to our Google or Trustpilot channels just because we want to try to mitigate the risk before actually having that review published. We work with them to solve the problem and ideally improve the score they give us. But this is another system that really ties in back to the organic here and really the partnerships, I would call it, because ideally every happy client is a partner of your business, and this is how we treat it. So this is something very simple we've built. And the beautiful and AI part of this thing is that the moment they leave a review, we have an AI actually answering the reviews on our behalf. And you can modify the tone of voice, have it jokingly say it, have it model the tone of voice, have it professional. It really depends on how you want to structure it. Now, the next thing was having our website set up in a way where we could get our questions answered. And in the past, it was very hard because when you have an appointment setter, they're ideally given the function of managing all of the inbound calls, outbound calls. But, there's only so many hours in the day. And normally prospects, especially in the B2C space, they're calling in the business before working hours and after working hours because they themselves are working. And it makes it very hard because the people that you need to be working early in the mornings and late at night, but it's impossible because there's working hours. So we had to figure out a way where we can have AI handle those pre and post working hours. And we actually have a phone number on our website where people can call in and have AI answer all of the questions and book them in for appointment. Of course, we use the calendar availability of team members that are actually available within the time. But that was something that was impossible actually before because we didn't have the resources. So now having a phone number that we can track and have AI answer is something pretty great. Then we also have a phone number that is routing to the team members that are actively working. But if they're not working, meaning that it's after hours, we have the call routed to AI. So this is a great functionality we've built. We're using the same voice and chat agents, Axel and Lyra. The second part we've added is the outbound calls to all of the lead form opt-ins. In the past, we were generating a lot of traffic, especially when we get a video to blow up on TikTok, and we had an amazing person that was doing the content for us. So we frequently would get over 100,000 views, 200,000 views, and that was clogging up our pipeline as we would generate 100 leads in a day, sometimes even in an hour. And that would create such a stress on our backend operation and on our sales team that we couldn't follow up with all the people in a timely manner. We couldn't get per them, and we lost a lot of opportunities through that. Whereas now with AI agents, we've built a system where we have the AI agents call all of the leads within 5 minutes if they don't book an appointment, pre-qualify them, ask them the relevant questions, disqualify them if they're not meeting the criteria we have, and move them over to our pipeline. And we have that both through voice and text, because some people prefer texting. Some people prefer just answering the phone and getting done with it. So this is something we introduced with the AI voice and chat agents. And the last piece is that we had a lot of customer support inquiries, which were asking basic generic questions that we already had the documentation on. We already had the resources. We already had the videos. And in the past, we had to have the team back and forth search manually through all of those resources, find the relevant video or text or piece to send to the prospect, and that was normally taking 4 to 5 hours, and depending on, again, how big is your business. But with us having more than 20 lead magnets, a lot of staff members, there was a lot of missed opportunities just because some of the team members didn't have access to all of the resources visible, or they couldn't find it. And there were always like new resources coming up, and this is partly a mistake on our part, because we could have built better SOPs and have more of a more visibility and better process around that. But with AI, that becomes very easy, because now we're loading up everything in one database and giving it access to our live chat widget or our agent. And the agent is able to answer a lot of the initial questions, or at least 80 to 90% of the inquiries, which are related around information that we already have available. So this was the few other components that we installed, and really helped us, again, remove that admin part of the business, remove the appointment setting team, and allow us to have that working very well for us. Now, the fourth part was here. We're looking at the paid advertising. And for that, I needed to figure out how I can put creative at scale and generate organic content. And to do that, we started using a few systems. We built a system with make.com where we can scrape and analyze the ads library. And for that, we're using two tools. We're using make.com and Apify. Apify has a publicly available scraper. I think it costs $39 per month to use Apify, where we take a keyword from our industry and we scrape all of the ads that are available there. Okay. And if it's a video ad, we take all of the scripts, we see what's working, what are the hooks, how long they've been working for. We have another tool that's called Denote, where we can transcribe the videos, and we feed all of these videos in AI. We match it to our brand, to our product. And based on that, we train the algorithm to know how to talk to our target audience. And I have, this is just a sample one for short form content system. It's Poppy AI. This is the tool I'm using, but I can feed it as many videos, text documents, brand voices as I want. And based on that, it will generate scripts for me. And this is what we've figured out works very well. And now, instead of me waiting on a team to shoot the ads, edit the ads, figure out the scripts, and having 4 or 5 people going back and forth for weeks involved before I can launch new creatives, I can now have that happen within a matter of hours. And then I'm using a tool which is called Arcade's AI or HeyGen. Both work very well, where I have an AI avatar that I use to generate those scripts for me. And I have an edit going over it with AI, where I can now generate AI UGC content and test a lot more angles, because the internet marketplace has become a lot more noisy. There's a lot more competition, and you need to put out a lot more creative. And without AI, I don't know if that would have been possible with the old team I've got. Not that they weren't great, they were phenomenal, but with that comes a complexity of scaling, finding the right creators. If they're good, they're normally busy and they're doing other stuff as well. So it's just a great way to have way to test things out. So this is something we've done successfully. And then the last component here, it's not really last, there's some more systems that we're using for onboarding, for proposal generation, for invoicing. I've built a lot of, it's not necessarily AI agents, but it's more so systems that are solving a very niche and specific function within my business, but will normally take 5 to 10 hours per week of a team member. You can now have an AI system take care of that. But for the AI-powered lead nurturing and generation, we've built the brains of the agents. And these are the very same agents that we're actually calling here. Axel and Lyra. Okay. Now, not only we give them access to proper training, proper scripts, feed them the information from our real calls with prospects, but we also give them the autonomy to follow up as long as it's necessary, as we've built a self-fulfilling, evergreen nurturing strategy where the AI would systematically follow up with the leads over time. So it could be 1 year, 2 years, however long you program it, before the leads either say, no, I don't want to be contacted anymore, or they opt out of information. But now you don't have to rely on a team member actually sitting down, trying to follow up with all the leads. And, just you're going to have leads lost in the tracks, especially if somebody leaves your business or gets a week off. It's just normal things in life. But at the end of the day, if you're a small or mid-sized business, you can't afford to do these things as they're costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. And this year alone, this agent saved me 120 grand in missed opportunities that I would have normally lost because I wouldn't follow up with the leads long enough or persistently enough. So in terms of the lead generation component, we have simple automations such as emails, firing on the back end, and then we have the agent periodically texting the leads and trying to re-engage them back and book them over in our calendar. So this is something that we've seen work very well. And again, like I said, we have that both over voice and text, and we're soon introducing that over email. So we'll have an autonomous agent scanning the inbox, filtering out the inquiries and what is the intention behind those to actually have people book in. Now, this video was a bit of an overview. I showed you what I'm personally using for myself. I'm sure there's thousands of other tools, systems out there. This is what I've practically implemented and seen real ROI from. So if you're a business owner and want to leverage a full AI sales infrastructure for yourself, make sure you check out the tools below if you want to do it yourself, or you have somebody internally that's already helping you with that. Or if you want to have somebody come in and give you an expert look on your business and see where you can have AI installed and helping you on some of the functions within the business, you can book a call below. This is normally for established business owners that already have a product market fit, that are already generating leads, and they already have a demand for what they do, but they just want to tie the pieces together and scale the output when it comes to advertising or reactivating past leads, or if you have a list of leads that you want to call, having the outbound callers. Hope you found value in this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.